Okay, ready. Sorry. Okay.
Welcome to the MichALL Spring event on behalf of the 2014-15 MichALL officers. The meeting today is titled Technology and Law Libraries, Where We're At and Where We're Going. And I might add, on our 35th year as a AALL chapter. I'd like to welcome Kimberly Rundle, and I think she's now out in the hall. She's the Executive Assistant to the Executive Director of AALL, and so she's here from Chicago. John Adkins, AALL, there he is, Executive Board Member. We'll hear from John in just a minute, and then later after Dr. Hook's presentation. I want to also welcome Dean Sandra Yee, Dean of the Wayne State University Libraries and the School of Library and Information Science. We'll hear from Dean Yee in just a little bit. I so threw you off because I kind of pointed to you. I'm sorry about that. I just wanted, before she welcomes us, I wanted to start out by thanking all the folks who made this possible. There's no way we could ever, in a small organization like ours, put together something somewhat sophisticated, even for a day, without their generous sponsorships. And so I'm going to start. I guess I should really start with the board. President Kathleen Domann, past President Amy Ash over there, Secretary Alicia Dyer, Treasurer Matthew Sherman, Executive Board members Mark Heinrich and MichALL Lalonde. I think they're all here. I think everyone's blending together at this point. And so back to our sponsorships. Thomson Reuters generously paid for the breakfast, and Ben Baral is staffing their exhibitor table today in the hall. And also Dana. Where's Dana? Oh, she must be out there as well. She's our personal rep from UDM. So Dana is out in the hall as well. I'd like to thank Lexus for sponsoring our box lunch. Laura Dettinger is staffing their table today. And thank you to B&A Bloomberg for generously sponsoring our afternoon coffee, tea, and dessert break. And I'd like to thank Wolters Kluwer for sponsoring travel and hotel accommodations for one of our special guest speakers, and June. And Mike Herons is at their table outside. The Education Committee has been quite busy planning this event, and I think it would be remiss of me if I didn't again thank them. Janet and Hadeen, right there in the corner. Michael Sampson, front and center. And Flora Mancini, I don't think I've seen. There she is, way in the back. Yes. Yeah. Good job, guys. I think you guys did a wonderful job. Thank you. And I'd really be remiss if I didn't mention the fact that we just could not have pulled this off without the generosity of Wayne State University and the law school. They gave us the use of this room in the atrium without charge. Of particular help, Virginia Thomas, Law Library Director, who did many, many things, including lorded over local arrangements, which, as if you've ever done this before, is a pretty big deal. But she answered many of my questions along the way. And, of course, Michael Sampson, not only is he on the Education Committee, but he's in charge of all the technology, including live broadcasting. And we're also recording this, and we'll send that link out once we get it, so that you can watch it over and over and over again. Finally, I want to thank Alicia Dyer, and Zach Turk of the UDM Law Library for creating the nice name tags. I think they're very nice and readable, actually, with the large print. I like them a lot. And, oh yeah, please don't forget to hand them back. That was the only charge that I had. So we're happy for all of these sponsorships. And we are very fortunate to have Dr. Sandra Yee, Dean of the University Libraries and the School of Library and Information Science at Wayne State, to welcome us today. And it was very difficult for me to pare her outstanding CV down to just a few things. I knew she was not going to want me to, but she has been at this position since 2001, and she's responsible for the 5 campus libraries, including the Law Library and the School of Library and Information Science here. She did have several positions at Eastern Michigan University, last of which was Professor, Associate Dean of Learning Research, Resources, and Technology. She's worked at seemingly every possible type of law library, community, high school, everything, junior high, and so I can't imagine anyone with more of a breadth of experience. And she recently finished her 6-year term on the OCLC Board of Trustees and had been appointed chair of that board. As you know, OCLC is kind of a big deal, and there are over 60,000 libraries worldwide in OCLC. She's done a lot more stuff, but she's inching closer and closer. I fear that if she gets close enough, she's going to wring my neck for talking too long. Without further ado, please welcome Dean Sandra.
I'm going to kind of move over a little. Oh, Sandra, right here? Okay, I won't move around too much. I don't like these big desks because obviously I am standing and you still probably can't see me. And although I've been here since 2001, it feels like just yesterday. This is a really, really fun place to work, and I'm so pleased to welcome MichALL to our campus today and to the Damon Keith Center on behalf of our university. I'm very, very proud of the law library here, of the law librarians, and all of the staff who are here, and I know that they have been participants in MichALL for a very, very long time. I'm really pleased to see not only all of you from academic libraries, but also from law libraries and other kinds of organizations. So it's good to have a good mix, and I also noticed, and I just saw one of our graduates, I came today from the LIS orientation. Many of our members at MichALL are members or graduates from the Wayne State University School of Library and Information Science, and we're very proud of all of you too. So yes, thank you. MichALL has strong membership ties with Wayne State University. I'm sure that Patrick is maybe going to give you a little history at some point, but allow me to remind you that Georgia Clark, law librarian at Wayne State University for many years, was the founding member of MichALL, founding president of MichALL, and since her time on the presidential board, many members of our staff have served as presidents of the organization, including Virginia. So we're very proud to have you here. It's very fitting that you're here, and I want to congratulate all of you on your upcoming 40th anniversary. And Patrick, congratulations on a wonderful conference and also on being the 40th president of this organization. So he's presiding over the conference at a great time. Finally, I just want to say that we are very pleased that Wayne State University Law Library will be housing the historical documents from MichALL. We recently as 10 minutes ago, finished signing the MOU that will officially put those documents here, and with Virginia's recent certificate in archival administration that she finished last spring, they are in very good hands. So I want to congratulate all of you and thank you for allowing us to be the repository for an organization that's been in existence for 40 years and has deep ties to all of the law libraries around the state as well as to Wayne State University. So I want to wish this is a great topic today. I'm very interested in this topic. Technology and law libraries, where we're at, where we're going. We can't live without technology these days, and so I think you really hit the mark with the presentations that you'll be having today. So have a great conference. Glad to have you here. And please enjoy not only your topics, but also the entire day. Thank you very much.
Back to orientation. Thank you very much, Dean Yee. Now, we will convene our first panel, Technology in Libraries, where we're at. So come on up. Where are you at? Do you want to just go in left to right?
Yeah.
And so, minutes, and I'll submit it's 10 minutes. Oh,
It's all right. It's fine.
let me know when you're set up. And I'll so.
I'm entirely sure why the bottom part is not disappearing, but we'll go with it. Well, I'm so happy to be with all of you. Thanks, as Patrick said, to the generosity of Walter's Kluwer. They were kind enough to fly me in here. You know, this is a topic that I love, technology and libraries. And I'll talk a little bit about my background, but I was actually talking to Patrick about what I thought I could cover. And one of the things, because I have this weird background, you know, where I can't quite make up my mind as to what I want to be when I grow up. So I kind of had a lot of different jobs. I kind of go back and forth. So I thought it might be interesting for me to talk to you a little bit about how to work with IT. And I think people are always surprised. You know, what I hear from librarians are, well, they never do anything. They never do what I want. They think I'm a pain in the neck. They're never in a hurry. And I thought, you know, sound familiar? I thought I would give you some background as to why it's like that and how you can better work with them as a result of that understanding. And of course, now I can't get it to go. So again, like I said, I have this weird background. So I started life as a database programmer. I created an asbestos litigation management system. I flew around the country installing it, that and mobile networks and PCs. And then I liked working with lawyers, went to law school, went to library school. I worked at UCLA Law Library. I went to the University of Texas, where I worked with Greg Romerski. And then I got pulled into the IT department, and I eventually ended up being the CIO there. Decided I wanted to go back to libraries, went to John Marshall, where I was a library director. I was a professor there. Somehow got sucked into doing media services and distance ed, and next thing I know, I'm CIO again. Then this wonderful job opened up the street, and that is now why I'm back in libraries. It's literally 4 blocks up the street. But I'm now at Sidley, which is a large law firm. It's a global law firm. We have about 1,800 lawyers worldwide. We have 5 main libraries in the U.S., so it's a big operation. About 25 people in the U.S. Worldwide, we have probably 36 or so. So it's a big operation. So just to give you some perspective as to where I'm coming from. Now, I always think of, you know, people always have funny visions of what IT people, and librarians especially, are. My 12-year-old told me something about, in class, they asked people what they thought when they thought of the word librarian, and she said, yeah, it was like stinky old people. And I thought, seriously? All right, they're 12. But then again, and you know, I like to think of this is how we see ourselves, right? Is we're the saviors. We're saving people. Come on. Great show, by the way, both of them. So we are very different, though. You know, in many ways we're the same, but we're also very different. So you can see, you know, this is a big part of why I think IT and libraries ends up kind of on opposite ends sometimes. So Think about what IT is trying to do, though, right? They're trying to make everything run all the time, 24/7. And the problem with us, the librarians, is that we're coming in going, hey, I got this cool new tool. Can we just install it? The answer is absolutely no way, because it's going to take down my system that I've had working really well for the last 10 years. And so, so you have to look at it from that perspective. Of course they're not going to try your new cool thing, because it's going to mess up their old working thing, okay? They don't talk the same way. They use a completely different language. Not a surprise. They're dealing, and this is one big difference. In libraries, I love my librarian job. Why? Because people are so happy when we help them. Wow, that was great. In IT, it's constant whining and complaining. And it's a very, very different thing. So, here are my tips. Meet with them regularly. I have a standard meeting, actually now with 2 totally different IT groups, once a month. And one of them, we actually talk about what it is that we want to do, what are the things on our agenda for the next year, and then they give us some updates on where they are. This way I don't have to keep calling them every 5 minutes. Where are you on this project? That way I know at the end of the month they're going to update me. Prioritize your requests. Don't just give them a list of 100 things. Tell them, hey, these top 2 things are the most important. Make sure that you prioritize them, because they will do it for you otherwise. Tell them what is the most important. Oh, this is important. Tell them what you need, what you're trying to accomplish. Not, hey, I need this particular tool. The conversation is really, hey, I'm trying to do X. What do you think would be the best tools to do it? And why do you do that? Because if you come in and say, I need tool Y, they probably don't have tool Y. But they might have tool Z that does the same thing that they support, that they've had for a long time. So think of it that way. When you have problems with IT, make sure you talk to them about what it is you're trying to accomplish and let them suggest the tools. They also really suck at reference interviews, okay? They forget to ask questions like, when do you need it? Why is it necessary? You tell them. You're the reference librarians. You're the librarians, right? You've got all this training. Tell them what you need. Don't make them ask these questions. They're never going to do it. The other thing is about this wait before following up. Again, they're putting out fires all day long. Yours might get reprioritized over and over and over and over again. They might have been number 1 last week, but this week, because they had this big problem, it's now number 50. It happens. So, don't keep harassing them. Plan ahead. Use cloud services. Great way to get around IT. They love it because they don't have to do anything. As long as it's not a security issue, I will say in my environment today in a law firm, they really freak out whenever I do anything cloud-oriented. And so, for example, I use a particular service that all of you use regularly in academia, but I had to get it double-checked through, actually triple-checked through the IT security group, which took a couple months. So just know, cloud services in academics, great. In law firms, not so much. But still accomplishes the same thing, which, in the language I used to talk to them was, look, this is what I'm trying to accomplish with this tool, and I am more than happy to work with you, but I need it right now, right now as in next year. And they went, oh, not going to happen. Yep, so if you let me have this fancy cloud service, then I will get off your back for the next 2 or 3 years till you actually get to this project. And they went, oh, okay. And so I have my cloud service. So you have to talk, again, if you understand where they're coming from and what their limitations are, you can be more successful in terms of getting what you need. Learn the lingo. I'm not saying you need to understand what all this stuff is, but at least know what cloud service means. Know what some of these, read a book. My daughters love YouTube. My 12-year-old can teach herself how to do anything with YouTube these days. Find some YouTube videos, if that's how you like to learn. Just learn some of the technology terms. Ask for explanations. I do that all the time. That's how I learn everything I know today. I just keep asking a million questions and say thank you. Gifts are good. So, anyway, that's all I've got. Thank you all very much.
We will have questions later, and I'm sorry I was out of position so that I couldn't actually do the introductions. But I suppose I can finish the introduction now. You did a wonderful job, by the way, of introducing yourself.
Yes, no need to.
Next up is going to be John Adkins. He's the LVIP, the Library Director of the San Diego Law Library, which I must say is a little misleading because there's not just one. You are one, but there are several different ones, composed of 4 libraries within the whole of San Diego County. Let's see, El Cajon, Chula Vista, and downtown San Diego. And so they serve the needs, of course, of the underrepresented population and also of the practicing bar in a very large county. John is currently the president of the Council on California County Law Libraries. There's a lot of them, and there's a lot of big ones in California, so that's quite a prestigious honor. Former longtime head of public services at the University of San Diego, former acting director at Golden Gate University School of Law, assistant director at that institution, was in private practice for several years, and John will address uses of technology that help the largely underserved population of San Diego County access their legal services. Take it away. Sure. What do you need? Just get to the desk.
Yeah.
Is this one of yours?
Presentation one. Yeah. Oh, there you go. Good morning.
Good morning.
Can you hear me all? That's how technologically proficient I am. I needed him to put this up. So I obviously depend on a group of people in the IT department to do wonderful things for us. And thank you for that introduction. Thank you all for having me here today. I really appreciate it. Now what do we do? Okay, good. I had the opportunity to renovate an old 50-year-old building that looked like a jail. And this is what it looks like now. And I'm very proud of that. It was a huge overhaul of not just red chairs, but the infrastructure. So we laid lots of fiber optic cables. We put in tons of Wi-Fi nodes. We did a state-of-the-art sound system. We did a video conferencing thing. And so that was in 2010. And now we have no money. So the filing fees that we get our revenue from have just plummeted about 50%. And so we've had to cut everything. Basically, you're probably all familiar with having to cut print materials, databases, staff, and hours. And so we have not advanced technologically since 2010. And that's a long time when you're talking about technology. So right now we're kind of limping along with our server being 9 years old and our computers not being able to run the latest software. So that's kind of where we're at, which is not pretty, but the building's pretty. On our website, just a few things that we did that were kind of different. We did these drop-down menus to show, people we could do anything for them, whoever they were. So if they were a lawyer, they were representing themselves, a business, community, all of that. So that was kind of a neat thing. Also, similar to Bing, I believe, we have these hot spots where people can hover over and then they'll find information about what the law library can do for you. And that's been a really nice feature. It says you can access materials from home, but only one database allows you to do that, and that's LegalTrack. So we wish we had more. So we would do social media. That's the way that we pushed out our technology and allowed people to know that we existed. We were very successful in doing that. We did tweet-ups, and which is a meeting that you organize over Twitter. And we have really good results with Eventbrite. People actually pay to come to a program. We thought that was an amazing thing. Before I came, they didn't charge for anything, and we had a membership program that charged $10 a year for all these services and checking out all our materials. So no wonder we're poor. So we're trying to go a little deeper in that. This is the outside of the building, the beautiful black Escondido granite. You can see that we have a huge sign that covers from the entire building from floor to ceiling. So that's pretty easy to see from the courthouse. This is our Twitter. Our LinkedIn gets us with the Bar Association and Women's Bar Association. These are some of our events. We're pretty well known for our events, especially since they're so cheap. And the Bar Association charges about $80. So you can imagine that we're a much better deal. And a lot of pro sa's go to these as well. They're not just for lawyers. Our Google Plus and our Pinterest account. As you can see, we're very creative in how we spend our time. In the stacks, that was one of our highest rated Pinterest pictures. It's pretty cool, actually. And I just wanted to show you what other county law libraries are doing. And they're a little more, they have some more money than we do. So they're doing videos and podcasts and photo novellas, which are like little skits online, little vignettes. They actually have an animation on how to serve someone, and then they have the right way to serve and the wrong way to serve, and they have a really nasty lady who's going to kick her out. So they make it kind of fun. The photo novella doesn't come up. Let's do that. So they do actual skits. We're very proud that we're involved with Ask Now, which is a statewide service that lets anyone email a law librarian 7 days a week. Not totally 24 hours, but a long time, a good 8 to 10 hours a day. And we're part of that. So now I want to talk about what I want to do. If I had money, I would want robots, wearable technology, holograms, and drones in my library. Okay. This technology is not working for me.
So those pictures were local, maybe on your client, so they didn't stick.
Okay. Too bad. Had a really cool movie. And the movie was actually robots that are actually in the Connecticut library right now. And they're about 3 feet high. So they're like little people. And they program them to take a soccer ball. And I don't know how relevant that is to librarianship, but it's a start. Right? So Google Glass. I think this would be very, very helpful in the library. You could check them out, and you could sync them up with yours so that you could see what your patron is seeing in the stats. And if they're like, I'm lost, I don't know what to do, you can tell them. It's up on that shelf. It's the orange book. Well, we have 5 floors, so that would help us. But so I can see that would be very helpful. So I don't know if you know how it's used, but alerts can pop up in your eyeball and tell you that the subway is out of service. So, you know.
Does San Diego have subway?
Do we own these?
No, does San Diego have subway?
Oh, subway. No, we have a trolley. And everything's above ground. We like to be in the sunshine. I've always wanted a hologram in my library. I just love the idea of someone being welcome, you know? But I can't afford to have a staff member stand there all day, right? A hologram could be like, welcome. We're here for you. You know, something like that. So this picture is actually a real thing where you can see a 3D full-size person you're talking to. You can see each other. Isn't that amazing? So Star Trek-y. So this is Queen's University Library in Ontario, Canada. Star Trek-like human-scale 3D video conferencing pod. I just think that's so amazing. So if they can do it, we can do it. Just takes money. Now here's a gentleman who's a Holocaust survivor, and he is telling his story to groups of people, and he only had to do it once. And it can be rerun for every single person. But he's sitting there, and you get the full impact of the story instead of reading about it. Isn't that neat? And this is a creepy museum in Texas where you walk around a house and they've got these holograms of there's a lady with a baby and some other people. And this is the house where, help me out here, I'm forgetting the name of the guy who killed JFK. Lee Harvey Oswald's house. So that is a creepy museum in Texas. Finally, unmanned aerial vehicles, the drones, I think would be very helpful in retrieving our books.
Well, you've got 4 campuses that can fly.
Don't you think? Yeah. They're there. They're there in the library right there.
Protect you from the nasty.
So they don't do the Audi commercial, that's all.
And here's the guy getting the book right there to his dorm room. So, with that.
You don't have to tip, probably.
No, you don't. That concludes my presentation.
We're good. I think we'll have a few minutes at the end, maybe biting into the break a little bit for questions, and I think we'll have some questions for you. But thank you again, John. We've known each other for about 20 years, so. Our next presenter, Brent Domann, is a reference librarian and adjunct professor at Michigan State University. What's your last name? He graduated magna cum laude from MSU College of Law, received his MLS from where? Wayne State University, practiced law in Philadelphia for a time, very bright young man, and he's going to speak on their library's assumption of publishing responsibilities for journals and the use of digital publication platforms to do so. Very good.
Good morning, everyone. Let's hope this works. So I'm going to be the fly in the punch bowl, I think, among the panelists, because I tend to be the guy that does not want to crack an egg with a sledgehammer. And so a little bit of my presentation will focus on using technology to serve our needs, but not for technology's sake. And I think that's really kind of the gist of what I would like to get across to you. But I want to show you the kind of financial and time impact that you can make for the better when you make use of technology to solve your problems. Two things that I'd like to mention first. John talked about cuts and how those are affecting all of us. So I want you to keep that in mind when I talk to you about what we're doing at Michigan State. And June talked about, she used a great sentence. She said, don't tell people I need to do, or tell them I need to do X, not I need tool Y. And when I talk about being the grumpy guy in the room, what I mean is technology isn't the sort of thing that I think we should be using in terms of I want tool Y. Instead, we need to figure out what we're trying to do and how best we can accomplish it. Okay? So, does anyone in here work on publishing in your library at all? Yeah, a few people. So I'll tell you what I will demonstrate is the sort of the old method our journals were using to publish issues. And I'll show you what we've done to take over and make things a little better. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is our old publisher, Darby. So those of you who work with journals may have heard of Darby. Darby was a publishing company that took publications from the journals, distributed them, they drop-shipped them for the journals. They also submitted them to databases like Hein, Lexis, Westlaw, Bloomberg, and any other digital repository that the journal could get into. Darby has gone out of business, and I may talk about that a little bit, but they didn't give us any advance warning. They didn't give anybody any advance warning. Their website just started directing you to an auction site where you could buy their assets. So the way journals used to be published, the journal would compile articles from professors, judges, advanced students all over the country. They would assemble them into an issue, and this issue would be regularly published. This was done in-house at the school by students, supervised by a faculty member, and at some places that are really big, they have a staff. Now, this journal was sent to Darby. Basically, we sent them a PDF. And what Darby would do is charge us an incredible amount of money. And Darby would then take care of the printing costs. So, Darby also dealt with the distribution. And I'll show you how the distribution system works. All the libraries around the country that would subscribe would either subscribe through Hein or directly through the school. If any of you do any of your acquisitions work, you've seen the bills from Hein. Hein collects your money, and they also collect your contact information. They compile a list of subscribers and forward that list to the journal. At least at our institution, We also have direct subscribers. For example, the Supreme Court of Michigan only subscribes to the Journal, and they send their check every year straight to us. So we have our own list of subscribers. Then we create a master list, which was sent back to Darby, and Darby would drop ship the issues to all of the subscribers using that address list. Now, there's the little movement of money and all of that sort of stuff. There's your drop shipment. I should be clicking while I'm talking. Darby also dealt with distributing the things to Hine, Lexis, and Westlaw in PDF format. And then from Hine, I, as the manager of our institutional repository, would download PDFs of old issues, or I'd get the PDFs directly from our journals for new issues, and I uploaded them into Digital Commons. We purchased Digital Commons, and if you don't know what that is, it is a publishing platform and repository platform that was developed at Berkeley for their own electronic journals. They have started licensing it out. It costs 5 figures a year, but not high 5 figures a year. It's not terribly expensive. It's less than an inexpensive car. But yeah, you'll see where we're going with this, because money is an issue. We originally bought Digital Commons to host faculty scholarship to increase our citation counts by making that scholarship freely available in PDF format. We also then started using it for hosting back issues of the journals so that people could access those. But hosting back issues and publishing new issues is the same process. So I quietly and carefully chipped away at my supervisors to try to get this into management's head that we could use this system for digital publication. Then last year, the faculty member, that is the director of journals, got a request from the dean to cut the budget. It wasn't a huge cut, probably 15%, but when you're working on the margins, that's a lot of money. So I convinced him to let us try it. So we spent time developing a process, and this is where the technology steps in. Digital Commons really is our technological solution to meet our needs. And so what happens now is we have the same process of the journal being created. And instead of the journal being sent to Darby, the journal gets sent to me. So I then take the PDFs and I submit them to a print-on-demand service. We use lulu.com. We tried another one called CreateSpace, but law journals are published with consecutive pagination between issues. And Amazon.com owns CreateSpace, and Amazon.com will not sell a book, at least according to their own terms, that does not start on page 1. So we dropped them for Lulu, who doesn't care what you upload. Lulu's slightly more expensive, but the printing quality is a little better. The binding quality is significantly better. And so we have decided to serve our print subscribers through Lulu. What we do is we order, if we have, for example, 250 subscribers, we order 250 volumes of our own journal at the end of the year, have them shipped to us, and our journal staff has to repackage them and ship them back out, which is an enormous amount of work, and I have to do practically none of it. Okay, it is not any more expensive than getting things printed by Darby. In fact, it's significantly less expensive, and the turnaround is much faster. I'll tell you about that in a minute. But once I get approval on the proofs that we order, I send those to Lexis, Hine, and Westlaw right away. Then I also upload them to Digital Commons so that they're available digitally before they're available in print, which is the other way around from the way things used to run. So the law review deals with the subscription mailings, and that's essentially how the process has changed. Basically, I've taken over the movement of intellectual property and to get it into the reader's hands. But we have saved a significant amount of money. When they told me they wanted to cut the budget by 15%, I said, how about 80%? Our turnaround was 6 to 8 weeks from mailing our PDF off to Darby to getting our shipments back. It's now 2 to 3 weeks, and that can be cut significantly if I weren't such a procrastinator. We also lost control for back issues. At least one of our journals, our biggest journal, the Law Review, was being charged $800 a year for Darby just to hold PDFs in case somebody wanted to order a back issue. And when Darby went out of business, all of our back issues are now gone. We don't have them. So if you order something from 10 years ago, you are out of luck. We now have perpetual access as long as we decide to maintain it. So just to sum up, our goal wasn't just to find a technological solution. What we tried to do is examine our process and see where we could streamline the process using technological means. But those technological means wouldn't have solved anything by themselves. So that's why I'm the fly in the punch bowl. I say I want you guys to think about looking at your processes, your procedures, and see how technology can serve them, not how you can change your procedures to serve technology. And
Thank you very much, Brent. Very good. Finally, last but not least, our final panelist, Cole Hudson, is the digital publishing librarian with Wayne State University Libraries right here. He's going to be speaking on performing IT duties in conjunction with his normal digital librarian responsibilities of managing the digital collection and digital publication repository and infrastructure planning. Take it away, Cole.
Thank you. Excuse me. Let me get this set up first, and then I'll start to talk. So let's see. Here's a keyboard. Here's the button. Whatever. Okay, that's good enough. There we go. Hey, awesome. There's technology. It's not always apparent, even if you use it every day. Okay. So the thing I want to talk about today is a bit about the ideas and the ideals that underline the technology we use. And that's because I don't want to bore you with a whole lot of technical terms. So I have this unique position. I'm a librarian and went to library school like everyone else, learned how to interact with patrons, love libraries, love the concepts, love the ideas. And then I get to my first library job, and what do? Well, I have the title of librarian, but I program. I write code most of the day. I even teach a class that's called Scripting Languages for Library Applications. Does that sound scary? Raise your hand if that sounds scary. Okay. Yeah, so what I don't want to talk about is scary code stuff. And so what I'm going to talk about briefly is the ideas that I see that kind of inform the two roles I have. Because I still work at the reference desk, I work with faculty, and yet I also stare at black screens that have lots of scary text on it. And so I see a lot of competing and complementing ideas between the two. That one, the ideas of librarianship make me a better web developer and programmer. Yet also the ideas of development and web development also make me a better librarian because I have a better understanding. And I'm really glad that we've had these panelists go before because they've given a great contextualization and understanding of some of these ideas that you're faced with. It's not necessarily the IT as much as the concepts dealing with the IT. So, yeah, this slide was really easy to make because all I said was the same word over and over. A great idea in programming is called iteration, and it's pretty obvious what that means, repeating stuff over and over and over again, because when you write a program, a lot of times you're going to go tell it, do it a billion times, and then tell me you're done. That's great, because computer's great at doing that. But it's also a certain type of workflow. It's the idea that if you're building something, it's never finished. It's never perfect. You'll release a program, and then it'll be really buggy, as they call it, and then you'll go and fix that, and you'll release another version. So version 1 becomes version 1.5, becomes version 2, becomes version 1,000. So it never ends. And it's this programming concept is something I've had to really embrace as a developer, but also realize as a librarian that with all the tasks that I do, say I'm on the reference desk, I can't go and say, I'm going to be the best professional reference librarian ever today. What I'm going to do is I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to be a little bit better than last week. And so that gives me something to work toward. It gives me, I can kind of iterate over that. I can work towards a goal. Another idea is, here's an example. This is even better. So here's something that we built. This is our main search results portal. So you go to the main library website, you're confronted with a big box at the top that invites you to go type in whatever you want. When you type in something like The Hobbit, I love The Hobbit, you get a lot of information on a page that is contextualized into different boxes. It tells you if you have articles or books or whatever you want. And here's a great example of iteration. So we divided this up into different developers wrote different parts. I wrote that, and then I broke it, and then I wrote it again, and then I wrote it some more times. I rewrote that 5 times, if not more. And that's why it looks so pretty right now. That's a great example of iteration, and that's something that I have to deal with, and that's, it's a great concept no matter what you're doing. Another thing really close to iteration is R&D. I kind of like to joke that I get paid to break stuff. And the joke, and it's funny because it's not even a joke. I get paid to break stuff, and then I tell people in my annual review, oh, I broke this, and it didn't work. I read more about this documentation, and I tried it, and it really didn't work again. And so you got to learn to embrace failure because, oh man, you're going to fail so much when you deal with IT. It doesn't matter if you're writing code or implementing something. It's all about failing. And that's not a bad thing because eventually you get to a point where you have a success, and the success is so transformative. It's so great that it becomes worth it. I spent 2 years, along with other people on my team, reimagining the way we display our digital collections. And by digital collections, I mean the unique photos and unique videos, and even the growing e-books that we have from our special collections. And we've come up with this new digital collections platform powered by a software called Fedora Commons. And the software doesn't matter. The thing that matters is that, well, we did a lot of failing before we finally got something that made it worth it. And it looks really pretty. I didn't make the pretty part. I made it functional. And if you want to pull up your iPhone or iPad or laptop while I'm talking, I won't be offended because you can go and look at the cool books and videos and such that we have at this website, digital.library.wayne.edu. So here's another concept that I'm so glad that Brent talked about it because it's important that technology is not the solution. That's a little programming term right there. This means no or not. And it's because technology is all about, adding numbers and doing really, really simple calculations and telling you, yes or no, or on or off, or 1 or 0. And so that doesn't really lend to solutions. The only way you can come up with a solution is to articulate a problem and come up with, your outcome. And maybe computers will figure into that, maybe not. Who knows? It doesn't really matter. But the important concept is not to look at technology as a cure-all. So I also said I'm a librarian. I promise I am. I'll talk about some librarian stuff too. And the thing that's made me a better developer is because of the librarian conceptions and the ideas that I've learned in library school. And they have to deal with our favorites, patron privacy and intellectual freedom. Because the thing is, well, the internet's not really built for privacy. It's built for connecting people together, and it connects people together in all kinds of ways we don't know, and and with technology we can't control. And so, in libraries, we're in the unique position of trying to embrace a lot of technology, yet keep patrons' activities in libraries free from any type of snooping. We go and regularly purge our any kind of logs we keep on catalog records. We try to make sure that any of the public access terminals you have don't store identifying information, and because we don't want any of that. That's not the point, and especially with intellectual freedom. So I went and actually tried to find a definition of intellectual freedom, and of course it's from the Intellectual Freedom Manual. And the best thing I found, the part that really struck me is, you can find and receive information without having the subject of one's interest examined or scrutinized by others. And that's really hard to do in IT because, well, tech companies and web developers, they're all about knowing what you're doing. That's the business model. When you go and search for something on Google, they want to know what you're searching for, so they can help you find a better thing next time. But so they can also sell you ads and build a profile of what you're about. And let me tell you, as a library developer and librarian, I'm tasked with doing the exact opposite. And it's really notable in that libraries want your IT to basically not know what our patrons do, to protect that privacy. And so, it's a continual battle, but it's a great one, and it's worth fighting, and it's one that libraries help inform us to do. And so that's really about all I got. So thank you so much.
Okay, I will eat into the break a little bit. We have, 6-7 minutes for some questions. I'm sure we'll make it up as we go along. And so if you have questions, raise your hand, and I will try to get these microphones on so the recording can pick us up.
Can I just make one quick,
Yes.
if you don't mind? So one of the things, there's a great topic, and I wanted to add a little bit to it. One of the things that I did at John Marshall right before I left was we also switched from a normal, I think it was Christensen, vendor for publishing journals, and we went on demand. And we looked at Lulu, and was the difference of what we were also asked to do by the journals, because they didn't want to let go of their subscription base, is that we had to find a different vendor, because Lulu won't do that. So we did find one, and I'm sorry, I can't remember the name of it, but I just want to tell you, you should look around, because there are lots of different services that do this now. And the service we found, we not only cut, I think, our printing costs in half, we no longer have boxes and boxes and boxes of leftovers. Because we had, what we were able to do was we had our subscription list, so we send it to them. They would actually package, ship, so we never saw any of it. They took care of 100% of it. And then anybody who wanted to buy weird one-offs, they created a website for us, and we just sent people to the website, and they could order, people would just order one at a time. So we basically completely shoved that completely out the door. And the only thing that we did experience, which is probably why they're sending it to you, is that the students were completely unable to edit. And so we actually had an editor on staff, well, she was a consultant, that we would ship everything to. And she would edit the whole thing, make sure the paging was right, the formatting, all the fonts are the same, all these crazy things that you never think of. So I just wanted to throw that in there, that, these services do exist. So, Lulu is an absolute great service, and if you don't have a subscription need, it's perfect. But there are other services you do need to do that. So.
Yeah, sorry. In terms of Lulu and the subscriptions, we found that too, that what we have to do is we have to put a lot of extra work into producing the journals in print to maintain a print subscription. One of the issues we had is that the ranking system for the journal penalizes you if you're not a print journal. So we had to at least maintain it for the journals. We did a triage. But one good thing is you suffer in a lot of ways because journals don't have institutional memory. The students are gone after a couple of years. But you can also use that to your advantage. So, when you tell the journal, I'm sorry, last year they didn't have to do this, but now you have to package up, 250 boxes of books and mail them. You only have to deal with one group of people that complain, because after that they don't know anybody. Right? So I just...
Yes.
I had a question for John. I mean, California is one of our most wealthy states, and we know there's, thousands of lawyers in California. Hasn't your library system thought of some kind of private-public partnerships where you can get some of the technology, maybe not the drones and holograms you desire, but to improve and update your technological efforts? I mean, San Diego, you've got a lot of tech firms in that area, and computing industry, Orange County up the road. I mean, have you looked into these private-public collaborations at all?
I want to repeat that. So the question is, John, have you looked at any of these private-public collaborations at all at your county law library system?
Yes. The legal practice is very tight with their money these days. They used to be really generous, but everything happened in 2007, 8, and so that's been a real problem. We have gone after grants and have gotten just that close and stuff like that. So we keep trying, but right now we're actually trying to change the law in California, and it looks like we're going to succeed. And that will allow county law libraries to make money. So right now, as a government entity, we can't make profit on anything. So we want them to allow us to charge for events to make money and sell food and have a vending machine and anything so that we can make some money. So we're going that route.
We have time for one more quick question. You're close enough.
Okay. Hi, this question is for John. One of the questions that I have is, where I work here at Wayne State, we're an urban library, we're open to the public, and a lot of the patrons we deal with have limited computer literacy and actual just regular English literacy skills. How do you dovetail the technology that your library provides in public services with patrons who might have limited computer or English language skills?
We show them how to do it. Some staff are bilingual. Mostly there's Spanish speakers who come in. So we have Spanish-speaking staff, and we just put on a trainer's hat and get very patient and help people through the process. And I know, and that's our job, right? That's our primary job. That's not your primary job, right?
Technically, no. I mean, technically, our primary base is really our students,
right.
The faculty here.
Exactly. So I can imagine that taking that time for you guys would be, more burdensome. But this is what we do. So that's why we take as much time as needed.
Thank you so much. I hate to cut this one short. We got off a little slow. We're going to go to a shortened break right now. I'm sure the panelists wouldn't mind if you have other questions. They wouldn't mind if you stop them during the break. But please, let's be back to start the next presentation at 10:55. So 10 minutes later, I think, than what it was supposed to be. So 10:55.